He stepped into the luxury jet shop with quiet confidence, the scent of oil and polished metal in the air. But the moment the manager saw his worn boots and sun-faded jacket, the warmth vanished from the room. Eyes narrowed, voices hushed. To them, he didn't belong, not here, not in their world of million-dollar planes. They didn't know his name, they didn't know his story, and they didn't see the truth he was about to reveal. What happened next would leave the entire shop in stunned silence. Watch until the end. Wait a second. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories like this. James Carter was no ordinary farmer. He had spent decades turning a patch of rough land into one of the most successful organic farms in the state. While his neighbors struggled, James innovated, using technology, partnerships, and sheer grit to grow his business into a multi-million-dollar operation. Still, he dressed simply, his hands calloused from real work. On this bright afternoon, James had decided it was finally time to buy the one thing he'd dreamed about since his first harvest, a private jet. Not for luxury, but to transport his fresh produce to markets faster, expanding his reach and helping local farmers. He parked his dusty pickup outside the gleaming glass showroom. Inside, rows of pristine aircraft stood like statues of wealth and power. James walked in, unaware that in just minutes he would be judged, humiliated, and forced to reveal a truth no one saw coming. The moment James stepped inside, the atmosphere shifted. The white sales manager, impeccably dressed in a navy suit, glanced at him once and frowned. James ignored it, his eyes scanning the sleek lines of a jet in the corner. But before he could get close, the manager's voice cut through the room, sharp and cold. "Sir, you need to leave. This is a private showroom." James paused, confused. "I'm here to—" The manager stepped closer, his tone dripping with condescension. "We don't allow visitors without an appointment, and these planes, they're not for people like you." He glanced at James's boots, then at his old truck parked outside, shaking his head. James felt a wave of heat rise in his chest, but he kept calm. "I just wanted to take a look." The manager motioned toward the door. "Please, don't make me call security." Two staff members began to approach. Other customers turned to watch, whispering. The humiliation was sharp, but James stood his ground. He thought of the years he had worked under the hot sun, of the sacrifices he had made, of the empire he had built from nothing. The manager smirked, convinced this farmer was about to walk away quietly. But James had no intention of leaving, not until the truth came out. James reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a leather folder, his movements slow and deliberate. He opened it and laid a thick document on the glossy counter between them. "This," he said steadily, "is the ownership record for this property, including this jet shop." The manager blinked, his smug smile faltering. He leaned in, reading the document once, then again, his face draining of color. Staff froze mid-step. The room fell silent, except for the hum of the showroom lights. In that charged moment, James's presence shifted from unwelcome outsider to the man who controlled the ground they stood on. The manager's lips parted, but no words came. James's eyes locked onto his, unblinking. The power dynamic had flipped in an instant. Without another word, James turned and began walking toward the jet he had come to see. The staff parted like water around him. The manager, still frozen, could only watch as the man he had tried to throw out inspected the aircraft with quiet authority. James didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. The truth had spoken louder than any argument could. Later, the incident would become a quiet lesson whispered among the staff, a warning about judging by appearances. But for James, it was more than that. It was a reminder that others do not give dignity. It's claimed by knowing your worth. So, How many more times will people have to prove they belong before the world finally learns? Where are you watching from? Take care.